What is going on, Rotogrinders? Dean here. It's Dean 7904 if you want to get all technical. I mean, it's actually 6 o'clock on the East Coast, 3 o'clock on the West Coast, 5 o'clock Tennessee time. Of course, it's time for the flagship show here at Rotogrinders. It's called Grinderslive. Joining me today, two-time millionaire winner, chopper of heads. It's Head Chopper. It's an intimate show. It's just the two of us. We're talking 10 games, late scratch as far as Kirk D's football as well in his world. How about yourself, Chop? How are things on a Friday? I guess we were talking very briefly pre-show about there's a basketball tournament going on right now. And I believe your Cougars, are they partaking today or tomorrow? Or are we going to be distracted?
Late at night. As soon as we get finished with this show, I throw in a lineup and then I go sit down and watch the Cougs at 6:15. So I'm ready for it. It's been fun. Been watching some college basketball all day. Now we're going to talk about some NBA and just a lot of good stuff going on here.
Are they good? What is their seed? I have no idea. Did they get a chance? Are they live or what?
They're number 2 seed.
Oh.
So it's we're gonna see. It just it's tough, man. It's kind of like the bowl games in football where you kind of don't know the conferences when they start to play each other at the end of the year. What conference was really a big fake all year long and really wasn't that good? Like Ohio State was supposed to be they're out already, and they were supposed to be one of the best out of the Big Ten. So who knows? The Big Ten might be a big fraudulent conference. So we'll see how Houston does against these big boys, but I feel pretty good about it.
You know, Chop, if you're out there and you want some help as far as picking some winners, amongst other things, the NCAA tournament Scores and Odds Premium. Scores and Odds Premium, 5 days for SAO Premium. It's just $5, 5 smackers for 5 days. Offer is available through March 23rd. You get your picks for the NCAA, MMA, PGA, NHL, NBA. I'm sure there's some sports there I missed as well. A lot of the sharps are all over that. I know Noto does some picks. I know cards. Andy Means, of course, will be on after us with the premium show for Crunch Time. You guys are members here at RG. Y'all know that. And if you're not a member, hey, become a member. Get yourself $10 off the first month. You can get it a la carte, just one sport. You want to get basketball? Just basketball. That's cool. We got baseball around the corner, MMA, golf's pretty much year round. You can get that one as well. Both ways, $10 off your first month. Oh, man, Chop, there's a lot of body parts as far as tonight's slate. I do like that it's 7:30, only 2 games, so we can kind of sort of pace ourselves. And a lot of the information is out there or it's dropping as the show is progressing, which is good. Do you want to get comfortable? You want me to tell you who's in and who's out and who we're monitoring?
Please do, Dean. Go for it.
All right. Rudy Gobert on the back-to-back is questionable with his hip. We're expecting Mike Conley's got to be back from his rest for Utah. Well, you'll talk about your Houston team in a second. John Wall is questionable with his knee. Eric Gordon and Nawab are going to be out for a bit, especially Gordon. Ben McLemore is questionable with his ankle. Golden State, this is a big one, obviously. Steph Curry's got a tailbone, so he is doubtful. Kelly Oubre was actually just upgraded to questionable with his foot. We know that Eric Paschall and Wiseman are both out for COVID protocol. Orlando, this just happened as well, too. MCW, Michael Carter-Williams, out, not feeling particularly well. Terrence Ross also out in the back-to-back with his knee. Dallas, DFS, he's out for personal reasons. That's Dorian Finney-Smith. All the 3-letter guys, WCS, also out with the COVID. COVID protocol. Nick Tat James Johnson out for COVID protocol as well. Cleveland, not just Kevin Love and Tareem Prince, add JaVale McGee. One more big and not available for Cleveland tonight. Wings for Detroit. Wayne Ellington's out with an adductor. Rodney McGruder's out with an elbow. And Hamidou Diallo is still out with his groin. Irving is expected back tonight from his rest and his groin. Kevin Durant's still out. DeMar DeRozan back tonight from personal reasons. Tristan Thompson still out for COVID protocol. That's basically it. Marcus Smart just announced a start there, which I guess was kind of expected. That makes a lot of sense. Man, Chop, we're going to be talking. It depends on where you're shopping, obviously, as far as where the cap is tighter and looser. FanDuel, I feel like FanDuel's is a much more fun build tonight. We'll talk about it, both FanDuel and DK. And hey, let's say hello to the chat. What up, chat? Like, subscribe, turn on notifications, ask some questions. Myself and Chop are going to be joined by our producer extraordinaire, Devin D-Train. He's going to be asking your questions on behalf of the chat. He's compiling them now. Just tell us, we're talking FanDuel, we're talking DraftKings, talking Yahoo, tournaments, cash. Let us know. It makes it much easier to answer the questions. Chop, 35,000 foot view as far as the slate. What are we looking at? What's jumping out for you? Because it's pretty big, it's pretty imposing, but it's really not. There's a lot of stuff just crossing out. At least that's me.
What's standing out is that Golden State game. I just, whether Oubre plays or not, I think it hurts I think that hurts like one guy. The other guys I was on, I think I still am on those guys, even if Oubre plays. So a lot of value there I like. And that's the big one. And it's just going to open things up to where, you're going to be able to do a lot with your lineups tonight. Whatever you want to do with your lineups tonight, you're going to be able to do them. So I think it's going to be a fun slate. And we just have to make sure we keep up with that news. It's Friday night, Dean. And not only is it Friday, but it is March Madness. So these NBA players are also kind of caught up like, man, I want to watch some of these games tonight. Coach, I'm not feeling too well. And, my ankle's acting up. So we might get some late scratches because of March Madness.
Somebody might intentionally get ejected. Is that the kind of thing you're suggesting?
I've seen that before. I've seen that happen before.
Is I don't know where Draymond went to Michigan. Is that right? Is Michigan playing today?
He went to Michigan. No, he went
Michigan
to
State.
he went to Michigan State, and they got beat last night. I don't even want to get into that. Whew. Buddy, I'll tell you what. I had somebody tell me Michigan State was a lock of locks, and so that was not a fun game there. But that's another story. Dean,
who gave you this terrible tip? You want to call him out?
No, I can't call him out, man. That's bad. That's bad stuff. But speaking of March Madness, Dean, you know who's not in the tournament this year, right?
I know Duke. Duke's not in.
Andy Means Duke Blue Devils not.
And it was a walk-on fault, allegedly.
Oh man, and even though Big T is absolutely crushing DFS lately, his Kentucky team is not in the tournament, so at least we got that to hold over his head.
Andy Means is the all-time leading percentage three-point shooter in the tournament.
I did know that, and I've seen him in person play basketball. I know why. He's phenomenal.
He's like 1 for 1 or 2 for 2. Well, he's 100% like all time. Whatever you want to go sample size on it by all means, but technically speaking, nobody in the history of the NCAA tournament has a greater shooting percentage than Andy Means. Right?
He's electric. He's electric when he's out there.
He's electric. Have you scouted him at the RG games? Because I feel
Dean, the funny thing is about that is you get a guy like Andy Means goes out there to play a basketball at RG. He's just not going to disparage Andy Means basketball back at the Duke days, but at Duke, he was just an average guy, on that basketball team. He wasn't like a special player. You get him at the RG game and you look at him, first off, you're taken aback because he's tall, and you don't expect
tall. Yeah.
And he doesn't look tall if you were to watch him with his teammates at Duke. It just goes to show you these guys out there, they're really good athletes, and they're a lot bigger in real life than what you think.
I'm pulling up our projections right now. I'm on DK. I look at the point per dollar guys, right? We talked about Golden State tonight, and this is, again, under the assumption that Oubre is not playing, under the assumption that Curry is not playing. Oubre currently questionable. Curry currently doubtful. Nico Mannion is the guy that's breaking the slate, and when you can play Nico Mannion on a 10-game slate, but he's 3.2K. We live in the world of salary cap, and we presume he's going to draw the start. That's what he's been doing. He's been directly backing up Curry. We have him projected for 30 minutes, 25 fantasy points on DK. Next up, this is all point per dollar. Next up, Jordan Poole. Next up, Andrew Wiggins. Next up, Damian Lee. Obviously, at some point, raw points matter, but can you do how much Golden State is too much Golden State? And obviously, it would get weakened if Oubre does in fact play. And Oubre would become an interesting play too. The other part is that Kerr doesn't care about winning. He's very clearly doesn't seem to care about winning. He's talking about the future, and and that means how many minutes does Bazemore get? Why do they need to get Bazemore to run or Wanamaker? I don't know. Well, we got to wait for the starting lineup, obviously, but I presume Megan's going to crack it. It will be really interesting if Poole does, because Poole's a guy that can shoot. He can't put 25 real points in the bucket. Talk about the Warriors and how you're prioritizing them.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a good question, Dean, because for me, it is a clear cut number one. I mean, clear cut. In fact, let me pull up the whole roster here, but
it depends where you're shopping, or is it both sides?
No, for me, is one guy stands out on every side because the price tag is not really that bad anyway.
Wiggins.
It is Draymond Green. All right, so he was even if Oubre plays, you said already, that probably helps him. It certainly doesn't hurt him. Because it's a whole different position. We got Wiseman for sure out, right? He's out.
And Pascal.
Yeah, so he's going to get the minutes. Over the last 12 games, Dean, don't know if you caught this nugget in my survey this morning. Over the last 12 games, Draymond's averaging 9.5 assists per game. He is the leader on this team in that category by over an assist per game over Steph Curry. Like, he blows him away, right? He's the guy. So Curry's out. Curry's the second biggest assist guy. So Draymond's going to take on all the point forward tonight, and he's just going to – I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see him end up with 15 dimes tonight.
Julius Randle, man. We saw it last night with Randle. The difference, the only difference I would say is that Randle at least has like better shooters. Like, if you're going to compare as far as the shooters he had last night versus, Bullock is a guy who can hit an open three. Golden State, this collection of shooters. That's why we were talking about it. We were talking about it pre-show. Like, maybe it would actually help Draymond if Oubre's out there. It's only a 6-point game. Like, Draymond's minutes are secure either way. Like, Oubre would hurt guys like Lee and Poole. Even Mannion to some degree, I suppose, as far as usage. But yeah, but you don't want to have too much Golden State, obviously. And as far as the big spends tonight, who's your favorite big spend? Because I think mine's pretty clear. Harden. We got Kyrie back, obviously. We got the Joker, Jokic, Lillard on a back-to-back. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something there. Maybe CJ McCollum said that would not surprise me. But I think it's a good game environment there against Dallas. Back-to-back for Orlando as well, too. Vuk, in theory, against Brooklyn can be a really strong play if that game stays close. We're running it back as far as Minnesota and Phoenix. They played last night. We saw Cat go nuts. We saw Anthony, the rookie, go nuts last night as well, too. Chris Paul still too cheap on FanDuel as well. But as far as the big boys, and, positionality matters as well, too. But who's your favorite number one stud tonight?
With the recent news here before the show that Terrence Ross is out and Michael Carter-Williams, but that's to a lesser extent. That really helps Vucevic. That helps him, but he wasn't on my radar before that. Lillard's not really – I don't want to play Lillard if McCollum is back and playing 20 minutes. Hurts Lillard. Now, it didn't hurt him in the first game back, but still, theoretically, it should hurt him. So I don't want to go there. So I think that my – two safe options here. If you want to go point guard, Luka, I think, is in a very good environment here tonight. And against Orlando, James Harden he beats up on these cream cakes, like these little cupcakes. He loves these kind of matchups. And you always think, well, we can't play him because they're going to blow him out. He always gets his minutes and he always gets his triple-double, and he's going to crush again. So Harden and Luka, choose one of those guys and run them.
Their best defender is out too. Ennis is not going to be there for Orlando. Like, if not that Ennis is going to stop Harden, but it just makes it a little bit more easier path there for Harden. And Kyrie is back. It's really, really close. It's like 51-49, but right now in my head, I have Luka a tick ahead of Harden. We've got some bodies out there for on the Dallas side as well too that we talked about, and it might help more so the peripheral pieces. DFS not playing, James Johnson not playing. Dallas has plenty of bodies, obviously, but Hardaway Jr. to jump back into the starting lineup. I think he played about 35 plus minutes last night, and it is the late night hammer of that Portland game. And I wouldn't be surprised if something scrolly happens there with McCollum. Lillard rarely rests, but like I vaguely remember a quote talking about how he's going to be smarter about rests coming up. So maybe that's something that happens tonight. I'm not saying it is, but we should just note as far as the front end and the back end, as far as the back-to-backs tonight. Front end, Sacramento, San Antonio, and Memphis. Back end of a back-to-back, Utah, Orlando, Portland. And again, we talked about that Minnesota Phoenix rematch. Do you think the same is going to happen basically in that Minnesota Phoenix game? 232.5. We saw Anthony Edwards go out, absolutely crush last night. What, are you laughing at the chat? What's going on?
No, I'm laughing at thinking that the same thing is going to happen. There's no chance that that outcome happens again.
Phoenix blows them out?
Yeah, Phoenix is a much better team. They fell asleep last night. So I think they're going to crush them and probably going to lean on Booker more so than CP3, who's a little bit older. So, and the guy who had a real good game last night and still got a great price tag on FanDuel is Bridges. So I like that one.
Yeah, that's a tricky one because I think he's fine. But let me pull up my small forward rankings. Let me pull up my rankings on the fly here. Because I know I was actually looking at that before the show, and I was looking at the small forward specifically on FanDuel, actually, because I think, isn't Larry Nance a small forward on FanDuel? And let me just pull this up because, so Larry Nance has played with 37, 38 games, back-to-back as well, too. It didn't matter, just coming back from his injury. And Cleveland's without three bigs. Now they're adding in JaVale McGee. I think there's a decent chance that Nance plays backup 5 as well because Allen can't play all the minutes. And like it's hard to project Nance for 38, 39 minutes or 30, even 37. I think we got like 34 or 35 or something like that, which may be conservative. He's still too cheap and still one of my favorite plays in the slate. And that works for DK as well, too. As far as small forward specific on FanDuel, there was a couple. Jaylen Brown, of course, against Sacramento. They just feed you points. And then Sadiq Bey, Detroit without 3 wings. So, like, that for me, like, those are the 3 obvious ones. Of course, you can spend up on a guy like Butler. Richardson gets a little bit of a bump there in Dallas. You talked about Bridges, still a little bit too cheap there, 4.9K. If somehow Bazemore becomes a thing, but I don't think they want to give Bazemore like 30 minutes. I don't think that's going to happen. So, yeah, your thoughts as far as sorting through Brown, Bey, Nance. I love Nance tonight.
Brown is good because of that matchup. Back-to-back big games, and now he gets Sacramento, so that's fine. But, of course, Kimba's back tonight, I believe, so
yeah,
takes a little bit off. All right, so I get that, and I mentioned Bridges. I like that one. Nance, that's a really good one. All right, so Nance is crushing here lately, so I like that, and you do have some options. Bey, that one is one I probably am going to avoid because I think Houston being a little bit healthier tonight is a little bit better defensively, so maybe it's not really his game. But a guy I don't think you mentioned that I like with that recent news right before the show, Evan 48, man, he's 6,400 a small forward on FanDuel, and he's been putting up good numbers. And I just think that him and Vooch are going to be the only real options in the offense tonight. And John Wall is starting tonight for Houston, so with Christian Wood back and John Wall, that game should stay a lot closer than the recent Houston games.
I want nobody on Houston. If John Wall's back, I'll cross everybody out. Everybody else got priced up.
Oladipo's starting too. So I don't have the Kevin Porter love like I did, since the All-Star break. I think everybody with Christian Wood back, it crushes the front court, and with these guys back, it crushes the back court. So I'm out on those guys.
Yeah, and it's not a great game environment anyway. 215 as far as the total there against Detroit. John Wall's officially in. Yeah, there you go. Devin's on like 10-second delay. I know he's helping. He's in our ear. That's exactly what Chopper just said. But thank you, Devin, for helping. So the Rockets are crossed out for me. Do we think Gobert plays? And if he doesn't play, how much would they actually play Derek Favors, old man Derek Favors, who I believe is still minimum basically everywhere? He's 3.5 on FanDuel. Raw points are going to matter a ton at center. A big opportunity cost. We'll talk about the centers there. And on DK, I want to say he's like 3.2. But Favors doesn't need to play 30 minutes. He's always close to a point per minute guy, I believe. I want to confirm that. Will we be interested in Derek Favors on DK at 3.2? I guess is kind of the question. I
would not be. I think Gobert plays. I think that Utah is, I don't want to call them stupid or ignorant or anything, but I think they're goofy enough to go chasing that loss last night, and and then we got to rebound and turn this thing around and get a win tonight. And so I could see them really playing Gobert and Mitchell more than they should on a second night of a back-to-back.
Do you think Gobert actually has a hip, or is this like, this is kind of like rest? Like that's what I thought it was, but like then just rest the guy like they did yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not privy to that information. But
you don't know a guy?
I don't know the guy.
Favors, by the way, 1.1 FanDuel points per minute, 1.03 DK points per minute. And, I think if he starts, and again, this is a big if, and we don't know yet. And interesting on DK, you might get yourself a cheap double-double at 3.2K. Hey, what about Time Lord? Speaking of guys that may start.
Ooh, now you're talking dirty. He's a guy I want. I want him.
We're buying him at the peak, but also like it's always I think he's at the most minutes he got the entire season last game, like 26, 27. Awesome matchup against Sacramento. He's also a center only on FanDuel. You can only get one of those, but that FanDuel scoring, he's a great stocks guy, great energy guy. He can get he can get there in stocks or alone sometimes. Yeah. But he may go back to 20 minutes. I don't know.
Well, I tell you what, the 5,800 on DraftKings is up there, but at least it's still sub 6K, and it's a pretty decent price tag on FanDuel. What is it? 5,700. So the guy dropped the 50 spot last game, and we still got Tristan Thompson out, and we still got some minutes opening up for him, and it's a great matchup. So I feel like, this is a guy who can, like, they're giving like 20 minutes. He's still going to, like, he played 19 minutes 2 games ago and dropped a 43 spot.
Yeah, we had like
43.
7 stocks or something. Like, you can't like assume
This
that's
is
gonna repeat.
Sacramento. This is Sacramento. The same thing could happen there. They're loose with the ball anyway, but he played 22 minutes against Indiana and dropped 44. That's what kind of upside he has. Like, he can do it. So he's definitely a guy I like to see him get anything 20 plus minutes. I'm going to be on him. He can just crush that price tag. So that's a GPP play. I wouldn't play
the
the guy in
counterpoint,
cash.
Chop, is that Nikola Jokic is playing basketball tonight, and he's playing the Bulls, and he's absolutely ridiculous. And you can only roster one guy in FanDuel. I want him on both sites. He's a centerpiece for me. I really think he's going to be on a majority. Well, like on my main lineups, I'll say that. That's sort of the plan right now. But there are plenty of pivots that are certainly interesting. We talk about Vuk. If that game stays close, but also Aaron Gordon. I know they do weird things with his minutes, and nobody likes playing Aaron Gordon. And this is more of a FanDuel play than a DK play. I think he's 6'5" on DK. I want to say he's like 5'2" on FanDuel. He's going to run back a point again tonight. Like, that's going to happen. And I just don't know if that game stays close. Does he play 30 minutes? And if he plays 30 minutes, including backup point against Brooklyn, why are we not talking about him?
Well, to start off with Jokic, I think on FanDuel, like, I would probably put Jokic in my cash game team.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't made it yet, and I'm playing GPP anyway. But yeah, I think he's the guy. I wouldn't, even though there's a lot of options at that position. I'm still going to go back to Rashawn Holmes. Like, he wasn't terrible last game, first game without Bagley, but he wasn't great. It wasn't great, but I think he could do that. This is Boston's not that good of a defensive team in the front line right there. So you can go back. So there's a lot of options right there at center. As far as your Aaron Gordon, man, I don't know, man. That's
a good price.
It's a good price. He's one of those guys though. Like, he could drop a sub 20 game on you easily. That's just the way he is. Now with Houston, we also have Augustine active and DJ Wilson active.
All the DJs are available. Yeah,
it's going to be it's a mess out there. I wouldn't touch a single player on Houston tonight.
Trevor Ariza is also available to play tonight. Not that you're playing him, but yeah, just as far as we're making notes of players that are at least available to play, Trevor Ariza potentially might make his debut tonight. Iguodala ruled out for what it's worth. I don't think we care about that so much. Let's go ahead and check and see. And again, we should mention this again. Chat, fire up some questions if we've not touched on some players you all want us to talk about. Devin's going to go ahead and compile those. Let us know regarding the slate. Obviously, let us know if it's for cash, for tournament, what site it's on. Makes it much easier. Are you playing anybody in Indiana? I think that's basically one of those teams I'm crossing out. Levert, a little bit interesting on FanDuel. The price got moved up, but not. He's not a lock and load. He's still fine, but for me, Indiana's basically a whatever. Like I talked about, you make this slate a little bit smaller. That's one of the ways I'm doing it. If Sabonis puts up 70, so be it. I lose, but you got anything there? Pacers?
So, OG is back and starting. So OG is starting and back for
Toronto. Yeah, Toronto's out for me too.
Yeah, they're not good, but to that question right there, I would say Indiana against that defense, assuming Jimmy Butler is going to play tonight and Bam is going to play. That's just too tough of a defense. Now, Karis LeVert, I don't want the price tag jump. I felt like he had some good games at that low price tag, but some of those games, man, you were like on the edge of your seat. Come on, get there. Give me a couple more buckets to make it worth it. I'm not going to sweat him out tonight. It's a tough matchup, so I don't think I need to play Indiana at all.
The interesting thing though is that like those slates, like everybody had them, and tonight nobody's going to have them because people are going to be putting on Wiggins. You're probably going to have the money for Harden as well. That's more of a FanDuel thing. You can pay him for on DK as well. Who else? Booker is, on the back-to-back. I agree with you. I think Booker's probably a better play than Paul on DK, at least on FanDuel, just because the prices are. Paul's probably a better play. Mannion on FanDuel is one of those things where opportunity cost. Like we haven't projected around 25 points. We're assuming he's a start. We're assuming Oubre's not going to play. This game starts in an hour and a half, so who really knows? He's a decent fantasy point minute player for what it's worth. Yeah, I feel like he's going to make things worth more so on DK than on FanDuel. And it's so DeLon Wright. We talked about Detroit being without 3 of their wings. I did not see this coming for DeLon Wright. Opportunity is king. It's a big deal. And the difference in some of these talent levels and some of these players is incremental, I guess. And Wright's making the most of his opportunity. Toronto has been one of the worst defensive teams in basketball for like a while now. And the price hasn't really fully adjusted. I think I'm going to have some DeLon Wright on a 10-game slate. Is that weird?
No, he's been good. And he put up a game the other day. I think he was in the optimal because I saw Blender had him. So, and then Blender usually runs the old Yahoo optimal. And they
just clicks the button?
Yeah, I just clicked the button. And like he crushed, man. He dropped like 50 spot and moved and bumped me way down because I didn't use the optimal, but
he's been good.
He's been good. He's in a good situation. So it was a better matchup before everybody got a little healthier on the Rockets, but still it's fine. So yeah, he's not bad at all.
Yeah, I'm pulling up our Detroit. Let's see our projections as far as our minutes today. If you guys are wondering, SBK just was unavailable today. That's why we didn't call him. Let's see. We got Grant projected for 34 minutes. It makes sense. Bay at 32 minutes. This is DK, 26 fantasy points. Pretty solid, at 5K. Wright, 32 minutes, 33 fantasy points. Frank Jackson, is he going to draw the start once again? I don't know how much we need it, but if he plays 30 minutes and he's essentially still minimum still, he's kind of sort of somewhat interesting. And maybe a pivot away from Mannion. Maybe you want to play them both. All of a sudden you get 2.5, 3 studs. Lineup construction wise, is that something you're doing? Does it feel like a Star Scrubs thing for you? Because you can get the 2.5 studs on DK, and like the half is like Jaylen Brown or something like that. I don't want to say he's a full-fledged stud, but you can get Jokic, one of Harden, one of Luka, Wiggins, not to just build the full lineup. And then with the assistance of a couple of these cheapies, is that kind of the path that you would take? Or do you think there's another route that's worth considering?
Yeah, I think any route is open on this 10-game slate. There's value in. So let's say you mentioned Favors at 32 on DraftKings earlier. I don't like it. I would probably, and I'm not going to, but I would probably prefer like Chase on Randall for Orlando getting the start again. Like not good, but you got a lot of guys out. Only 2 real shooters on that team. And he got the only game he started was last game out, and he got 30 minutes, but that was against a tough New York defense that grinds you out.
It didn't close.
Now you getting Brooklyn though. And if I get 30 minutes for 3,400, I'm just saying I'd rather have that than Derek Favors. And if you're going stars and scrubs and you really want to load up on your stars, I think you could take a chance on a guy like that. For me personally, because I like Draymond Green so much, that's probably I'm probably more in that mid-range build as opposed to stars and scrubs. That kind of starts off for me right there. So I'm in that category. I think there's a lot of guys, let's just say DraftKings, that are around the 8K or slightly less mark that I really like.
Interesting little game stack there. If you think that game can somehow stay close, you essentially, for Orlando, it's going to be Fournier and it's going to be Vuk and, Gordon, much better price on FanDuel. And then obviously Brooklyn, you get one of Harden or Irving, maybe 2. Let me ask you this. Was it an aberration or is this a changing the guard? I don't know how much you've been hearing me scream about this, but Claxton is clearly better than DeAndre Jordan if you watch the games. And we finally saw it last game where Claxton closed. Jordan never came back for his second run in the first half. Now, part of that, I think, is because on the other side, Turner was in foul trouble. So they just let, Claxton do his thing. Or actually, they had Green closing as the 5, for what it's worth. Doesn't matter. But Claxton closed the game. Jordan did not come back for his second run in the second half either. Now, is that a one-game aberration, or do you think going forward, because Claxton's a great fantasy point minute guy, but he only needs like 22, 23 minutes. He's kind of like the Time Lord, more or less, right? Same sort of package, energy guy. Claxton, are we chasing that? Is it going to be back Jordan's job again? What's that? Or is it going to be like a go back and forth like we had like Drummond and Allen earlier this year? Who knows what it's going to be, depending on the day.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not privy to, any inside Brooklyn information, but just from the eyeball test, I could tell you that obviously Claxton is the better player, and Jordan. What is Claxton like? 19 years old, 20 years old, something like that.
Is he?
When you're tall like DeAndre Jordan, you're a big guy. Your body breaks down a lot quicker. Did you know DeAndre Jordan is 41 years old.
No, he's
it's
not. You're just making
tough.
I don't believe that.
It's just tough to be in this
Dean. I do not believe you.
It's tough to stay healthy when you're that old and you're that big, when you're that tall.
I will smash the under on 41 years old. It's a lie.
I mean, it's only a matter of, but yeah, this guy puts up good numbers. But the problem is in Brooklyn, you'll never get rid of DeAndre Jordan until he's ready to leave, just because he's friends with those guys,
boys.
and so they're not gonna. Steve Nash won't be. He doesn't want. There's already enough weird personalities on that team. You don't need anybody flipping out, so he'll keep those guys happy.
Let's see. Randall is starting for what it's worth. Randall, Fournier, Gordon, Aminu, and Book. Ben McLemore, just one more body that is officially available for Houston. And OG Anunoby is not just available, he's drawing the start as well too. I guess Boucher is a little bit interesting, but I can't imagine I'm getting there in that game. Toronto is one of those teams that I'm essentially crossing out. Boston, we talked about them as far as all three are back. Walker's back from his rest, but I think Tatum and both Brown and Tatum are pretty positive prices. Nice matchup against Sacramento, so certainly they're interesting for me. With DeRozan back, I think I'm just crossing San Antonio out. There are routes. I think White on FanDuel's got a pretty good price, but I'm probably not getting there. Pirtle, he's fine, but I don't know. I like too many other guys at center. I just probably can't justify it. Just kind of running down teams I'm crossing out. Miami, I guess you can get some Butler. Bam's got a good price, but besides that, nobody. Stop me if you have anybody else you like on these teams. I'm just sort of making the slate a little bit smaller. For Denver Chicago. Are you playing anybody in Chicago? If that game stays close, I guess Rad Thad, Young could have a game, or Levine, obviously. But for me, it's more just about Joker. Porter is got some praise from his coach, which is rare. We actually saw Mike Malone say positive things about Porter, so good for him. Any thoughts on anybody I threw out there?
I would say on that Chicago-Denver game, like for Chicago, the only guy, you know what? Dang, I didn't make my tea for the show, Dean. I knew I was missing something.
Tea?
Now, I got a nice herbal tea I usually make for the show.
That's your go-to?
Yeah, that's good stuff. All right, so Chicago. Levine is the only guy I would really want to play, and I don't think I'm going to pay up for Levine tonight. So that kind of takes Chicago off. But the Denver thing I think is interesting. I think Jamal Murray is very interesting because it's a good matchup. Chicago's good enough maybe to make this game competitive at least, so you get your full allotment of minutes. And we're going to be missing again Monte Morris and Gary Harris. So, Jamal's still going to get some good minutes here. And he's just one of those guys, man. When he's hot from the outside, he can win you a GPP. When his game is bad, it's like really bad. So he's certainly not a cash game player, but he's a GPP. I love him in GPP tonight, Jamal Murray.
Before we turn over to Devin, I do want to mention Monkey Knife Fight, the promo that we're running. 100% deposit bonus up to $50. Use the promo code Grinders. We're going to go ahead and drop that in chat for you guys. That's Grinders, Grinders. You're just picking over, you're picking under on certain props and certain numbers. And Chop, I know you picked out a couple winners for the people. What do you have for them?
I'm pulling a 3-teamer. We call this one a 3-teamer, Dean.
All right.
When you drop multiple teams in there, and then you get a little bit better odds on your payout. So I'm going with Jonas Valanciunas over 12.5 rebounds. That's just he can dominate the boards like that. No Wiseman, So maybe Jonas gets some rebounds. 12.5.
It's just minutes with him, right? Like you never know if he's going to get 27 or 32, and that's everybody. But he has just seemed to be
he's been smashing it lately though, so we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Andrew Wiggins. Now, I would obviously love Oubre not to be in there, but I took Andrew Wiggins over 20.5 points, just regular points. That's all he does anyway. It's not like you need dimes or so. Give me the 20.5 because he's going to be the leading field goal attempt taker on this team by far tonight. And last but not least, the third leg of that parlay, Jordan Poole, over 2.5 assists. I took that one because he's been like, when he gets minutes, he kind of hovers around that mark anyway. And now he should get minutes tonight without Steph Curry. So he should be even more of a facilitator. So I think that's a pretty good bet right there.
All right, let's bring Devin on. D-Train, you've been compiling questions for us. We're here for the next 15 or so minutes before we turn it over to crunch time. Andy Means, Kevin Roth, and a GPP player to be named later. You probably can tell me who it is. What's up, Devin?
It is one Mr. Tuttle, of the fifth variety.
There you go. Everybody's favorite student driving instructor. Yes, that's what he was. And do you know Mr. Tuttle actually is, Devin, or no?
No, shot in the dark. That was no idea.
Mr. Tuttle is a very, very random character from Saved by the Bell that was on maybe like 5 episodes. He was the driving instructor. And I think he also taught something else just so we had a full-time gig, but you rarely saw him. You knew that, right, Chopper?
Absolutely knew that one. That was easy money.
Did he have glasses and a goatee?
No, he was a husky fella.
Yeah, he was a little big boned.
Don't see the resemblance then.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I'll have to ask him. Yeah, I'll have to bring it up.
Ask him why he picked Mr. Tuttle. Ask him on the show. We'll tune in later. You got some questions for us?
I do. We have plenty of questions. We'll start normal round, and if we need to kick it up into lightning round, we'll revisit. Chop, by the way, I feel for you. I hate that you don't have tea because my go-to mason jar full of water. I have that right here within arm's reach.
Oh man, what a tease!
It's really hydrating.
And that was the chalk, by the way. Devin had
a mason definitely. Jar. Going simple. Gopher would like to know how good of a play is Draymond. This was the first one, so this has definitely been touched on. Torn because Wiseman and Pascal helped out before, but with him out, or were out before, but before Curry was hurt. 6.66K on FanDuel.
Well, that's your question, Chopper.
I love Draymond tonight. I hope he doesn't bite me, but he's been putting up some monster games. He's going to have, assuming the game stays somewhat competitive, going to have plenty of minutes. And I just think he's going to be the guy that when they get down the court, they're going to give him the ball, top of the key, and let him make plays. Now, he's not going to shoot very much, but you don't need that. I think a double-double rebounds assists a game is in store, and if he kicks in a few points, we'll be in good shape.
Now, while we're on Green, we have a couple of other related questions. One, since Chop likes Draymond, Steve asks, are you avoiding the other Golden State value?
I'm not avoiding them, but they feel a little bit weirder than just normal value that we get on teams that are missing a lot of players. So they just don't have a lot. Like their value is really rough. Wiggins can go cold, and Jordan Poole is really hit or miss. And I don't think I'm taking a chance on like a Nico Mannion or anything. So I'm not actively avoiding them, but I'm not looking to throw them in my lineups like I am Draymond.
All right, real quick, one more about Golden State. Archie and Edwin both asked, for DK tournaments, what do you think the chances of Golden State going small and taking Joval out of the game? I know you had you liked Joval on your Monkey Knife Fight picks.
I don't. They may go small for a little bit, but if you go small, then I think it's a good opportunity. It's not like you go small. Like Golden State used to go small with the death lineup, and they would run the guys out of there. I don't think that's a thing anymore. Certain teams can't go small and just dictate where the game goes. If you go small tonight, Joval may very well have 25 rebounds. You just have to be – I'm not going to worry about what Steve Kerr is going to try to do. He just doesn't have the personnel to execute it.
All right. Alex wants to know DK tournament favorite game to stack.
Dean, what you got on that one?
Yeah, I'm not somebody that necessarily forces a game stack, but I do think that Brooklyn or Orlando one's pretty interesting. If obviously you're shooting for the top and it's Ricky Bobby style. If the game blows out, so be it. You get you finish at the bottom, but if it stays close, you know who it's going to be, right? You know it's going to be Vuk. You know it's going to be 40. And Gordon, he has DK specifics. I think Gordon is the third guy amongst those three. Much more appealing on FanDuel, just with the price. The build kind of dictates, and then play Harden. Maybe Harden a la carte. I don't think you play Harden alongside Irvin. Maybe you can just pick Irvin, but that's probably the answer. Golden State obviously is going to be popular, but the other side of that game, as far as Golden State, Joval. Maybe you could just play Joval and 3 Warriors. That's the answer for me. But I'm not forcing any game stack. That's kind of where I'm at. What's
Dean, we got Oubre starting tonight. Oubre
oh boy, there he goes.
In the mix. So,
Steph is out.
I don't think that probably hurts a couple of guys in there, but it doesn't hurt the way I feel generally about Draymond and and even Wiggins is still, he was never going to do much except for shoot the ball, and he's still going to need to shoot the ball because it's not like Oubre is like a dead eye shooter or anything like that. So I'm still good. It probably does bump maybe a couple of those wings down. Like you're not going to use Bazemore now, that's for sure. So
no. I wasn't playing Bazemore. I just didn't trust they're going to give him any run. By the way, this isn't a big deal, but Lamb is available. He's on track to play for Indiana. Slight hits to the Holidays, slight hits to McConnell, but we weren't really on Indiana anyway. Just to sort of throwing it out there. Go ahead, Devin.
Don't forget to smash that like button if we get your question. Mutton asks, McGee is out. Does that change your thoughts with Cleveland at all?
We talked about it, right, Chopper? Like Nance, like he's going to play, he started at the 4, I assume, and he's going to back up the 5, I think. And why can't he play 36, 37, 38, 39 minutes? And he's not, he's not priced that way. I think it's Nance's show. And of course, Allen might play 35, 36 minutes as well. So both those guys are strong plays, but just the way the position goes, I prefer Nance over Allen. And it's probably not nuts to play both, but maybe you shouldn't play both.
Yeah, at 5,300 on FanDuel, he's a lock for me. Nance is a lock.
DK tournament.
Too cheap on DK as well.
Jason asks for DK tournaments. Would you go mid-tier and fade the studs? I think you guys touched on liking the balanced build as well. Has that changed at all?
I'm less apt to do that, Chopper, because like I said, I want Jokic, and I'm probably going to pair him with Luka, or if not Luka, Harden, something like that. Jokic is my favorite, and I cannot see myself making a lineup without one of those. And Jokic is at the head of the pack for me.
Yeah, I think you can still, with some of the value, I think you can still get a stud in there with some really good mid-range players, and only sacrifice one spot on a really cheap one, and hope he does well. If you're going to do 2 studs, then you got to there's a real stars and scrubs thing. So I'm certainly not doing 2 scrubs just to get 2 stars in there, but I can play a star player and still go mid-range the rest of the way.
All right, this is interesting. Not to cut you off, but starting lineup for Golden State, this will change things. Poole, Bazemore, Wiggins, Green, Looney. So Mannion out, Bazemore starting, Oubre not starting. What's going on? Kerr is just like screwing with us, right? What is this?
I mean, we'd have to look up and see. It's one of, maybe they don't have enough bodies, and Oubre has to be technically active when he's not really going to be active. Who knows?
No, they have bodies. They have enough.
Do? Okay. Well, with that, if that's really what he's going to run out there, now that's Yeezy. So I'm not saying Yeezy's a liar. No way. Yeezy's a good guy. I'm just saying that maybe I need to have my source. I need to check my sources on that one and make sure. But if that is the case, then yeah, I'm back to, give me Jordan Poole, man. Those 2.5 assists right now look really good.
And I think Mannion, again, I mean, who knows what's going to happen here. And again, Golden State is not interested in winning games. That's sort of my hypothesis. I don't think they care.
Did we not get a note earlier that said Oubre will start?
No, he's available. He's available to play, but he's not in the starting lineup.
Oh, okay. Our RG notification says Kelly Oubre will start Friday.
I'm seeing will play, and then I'm seeing, the starting lineup, and he's not in it. So
yeah, either something changed, or either way, keep an eye on things as we get closer to lock here.
That is interesting, though.
Let's see. We actually touched on Jordan Poole, I believe. Jason was telling the future, if Curry doesn't play FanDuel tournament, do you like Jordan Poole?
I do. I think, especially at this point, if he's going to start like that, and when I look at the guys out there starting around him, he's going to be the second most likely to handle the ball after Draymond. That's a pretty good spot to be in with that lineup right there. So, yeah, I like Poole quite a bit.
All right, Life and Mind of Mattitude. I had to read that full one. They actually already touched on, I believe, Dean, you touched on the game stack Orlando-Brooklyn. Is a core of Vooch and Harden a good starting point?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, and I think Vooch is going to be mostly ignored.
Love those low-owned centers.
I don't think people are going to play him. Maybe people are going to play Jokic. I want to play Jokic first. And there's some good guys in the mid-tier that we alluded to. We talked about Holmes before. Ayton, if he can stay out of foul trouble, in theory, is a good play tonight. Porzingis is a solid play. He's DK eligible. We mentioned Valanciunas as well, too. I know Chopper was talking about him. Center seems pretty strong tonight, right, Chop? But Williams?
Center is very strong. Yeah, you got to – I don't even think we touched on Pirtle. Pirtle's been putting up good games and has Cleveland tonight, and he's really cheap. So and
he's going to be by the basket too, Chop, because he's playing Allen, and Allen doesn't move away from that basket.
And another guy who's been putting up nice, steady numbers, Dean, just steady as a rock, man, is Mason Plumlee, and he's really cheap. So, and he gets Houston, which is not as good of a matchup with Christian Wood in there, but it's still a decent enough matchup. He just steady. Yeah, there's a lot of centers and you're gonna have to pick and choose which one you want to take.
While we're
Is this
there,
a first blood revenge game, by the way, for Christian Wood? I can't pay him off, I don't think, just because everybody's back and he's fully priced. But
they're not interested in winning games, so he's not going to get full run. So although it's his revenge game, maybe they do. Maybe they say, Christian, go torch him. Who knows? But,
while we're talking about centers, K-Mac wanted to know FanDuel tournament. Sorry, I almost lost it. Ayton or Cantor?
I don't think Cantor's a great tournament center because I talk about this all the time. His ceiling is subdued because he can only score so many points and rebound so many balls. Ayton is a guy that can at least block 4 or 5 shots. So if you're going to ask me to pick one of those for a ceiling, I will take Ayton over Cantor.
Still some discrepancy on the starting lineup for Golden State, so let's just we'll keep an eye on things. I'm keeping up with chat, so we're just okay. We're gonna keep an eye on things as we get closer to lock. Edwin DK Single Entry asks Luka or Jokic if you had to choose.
For me, it's Jokic.
Wow, that's a good one. I'm gonna say I probably want Luka tonight over Jokic.
All right.
The argument is, I'll give you the counter argument. I think the center pool, like if you're not going to roster Jokic, you're going to roster the center pool. The alternatives are better. The collection of centers as opposed to the collection of point guards. So if you want to make that argument, sure. But if it's just like a utility spot, I think Jokic is the better play.
Kelly Oubre will start Friday, not Kent Bazemore as previously reported.
There we go. The Bazemore thing was weird. Okay, thank you.
Clean it up. All right. Daniel wants to know FanDuel Cash, Kemba or Murray?
Which Murray? I assume that's Jamal?
I would assume Jamal as well.
I would. Oh, man.
I want Jamal. Oh, yeah. You know what? Yeah, I mean, first of all, he said Cash, right?
He did, yes.
Jamal's got a bigger ceiling. Kemba's probably a tick safer.
Let's readjust our player pool there. You can do better in Cash than those guys who are very high volatility. So I think at that price tag, there's better guys you can try. But if you're asking me between those two, I want Jamal Murray. But man, he comes with a low floor too.
I mean, Chris Paul's like the same price, right? Like why not take Chris Paul?
DeJounte Murray is in that price tag. Chris Paul, even Colin Sexton.
It could have been DeJounte Murray. Does your answer change?
Yeah, I think against Cleveland, I think I'd take DeJounte over.
DeRozan's back, though, and everybody's healthy for San Antonio.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Okay, it's just the Kemba, man. Coming back. First of all, he wasn't that good before he got hurt. Now he's coming back.
Kings.
And it's the Kings, but, he can very well drop, your little measly 30 points and be out of the game. And so I just think maybe I don't know how much salary he's got left over, but I think there's better options. How about DeLon Wright? Save some money and go DeLon Wright. I think that's solid.
Does Boston throw Marcus Smart on Fox? And if so, is like Halliburton pretty interesting? He kind of I don't want to say he busted last game, but he didn't crush, and his price is not fully. He's still not where he should be, even though he technically, I think, is still on that minutes limit. No.
Yeah, I mean, out there. Honestly, I would relish Marcus Smart being on De'Aaron Fox if I was on De'Aaron Fox tonight. I think that's a pretty good matchup for him.
We got just about a minute and a half left here. We got just a couple more. Alec wanting to know FanDuel tournament 2v2, Gordon and MPJ or Tice and Brown. Already locking in Robert Williams.
Ooh. The
first wait, you're not playing Tice and Williams together. They eat at each other.
And Brown?
Well, you could play
all three though. All three from this. I don't know about.
That's a no. That's a no go. Yeah.
And then we got just about a minute left. We'll end on this one. That's a good question. Let's wrap up the FanDuel. I mean, the Golden State value. If you guys want to rank that on our way out.
All right, Sean. I think it's disappearing. It seems to some degree, at least. But Mannion, I think you could throw away, right? I think that's what we're looking at. And Poole starting is pretty interesting, but you speak to this, Chopper.
I'm going Draymond 1. Based on salary, give me Poole 2, and then a distant fall off. I'll still take Wiggins to take a lot of shots, and then that's about where I want to be. That's about all I want to be on.
And Draymond's running the point here, right? They're not even joking. I mean, with Poole, Oubre, Wiggins, Draymond, it's going to go through Draymond. So, yeah, maybe he doesn't score 10 points, but he might, like you said, have 13 assists. We got to go. We got to step aside. Much appreciate you guys watching the show. Appreciate you guys supporting it, asking questions. Good questions today. Well done, chat. Feel free to like, subscribe, turn on notifications. If you guys are RG Premium members, stay tuned. You got Mr. Tuttle, America's favorite driving instructor, along with Andy Means and Kevin Roth, taking you guys all up the lock. I'm sure more news will break. So stay tuned for that. Thanks to Devin for producing. Thanks to Chop for jumping on here and turning off the college basketball for a second. Enjoy the rest of your evening there, Chopper. Crush the NBA slate. I was Dean. This was basketball. We're out of here. Holler.